Welcome to the Hired Not Fired podcast, brought to you by The Real Me, the soft skills first talent solution that helps employers hire entry-level employees with better developed soft skills, such as communication, problem solving, or emotional intelligence. Join us as we sit down with hiring managers, talent leaders, and others and get insider tips to help Gen Z stand out and get hired. Let's dive in. Hey there. Welcome to Hired Not Fired. I'm Dr. Deb Samuels-Peretz from The Real Me, and I am delighted to introduce this week's guest. I have Meredith Trotta from Veeam. Welcome, Meredith.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm looking forward to the conversation.
So am I. Meredith is a global university relations professional, writer, and thought leader for building early career talent pipelines in organizations. Starting her career in college admissions, Meredith moved to corporate university relations, working for Time Inc. in New York City. She ran her own consulting business before returning to corporate at Equifax and her current company, Veeam Software, where she built their university hiring programs. She's also a professional writer, published around the globe, and featured on Good Morning America, Bloomberg News, and podcasts and radio shows. At her core, Meredith is a champion of early career professionals and passionately believes in the importance of developing students as they explore and launch their careers. So excited to have you. Let's dive in.
Yes, thank you.
So, Meredith, can you start off by telling us a little bit about Veeam? What does Veeam do?
Yeah, Veeam does backup data recovery software, and they're a global company, number one market leader. So we have university relations in all across the globe, and we're really building that muscle for our company to make sure we have like the right talent in place because, as you know, software engineers, really tough to hire, really tough to keep. So Veeam is at just a very exciting place right now in its history. It's only about, I want to say 18 years old, but don't hold me to that.
Okay.
And I've been there for about 4 years.
Wonderful. Can you tell us a little bit about the types of entry-level positions that you hire for? You mentioned software engineers.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start with that one. What kind of background are these? Are these engineers right out of college with an undergrad, or do they need a master's or more, or do you do skills first hiring where they don't need a degree at all?
Those are great questions, and I'm sure people listening are very interested to know. So it is a mix. You know, we have some really hardcore developer positions that tend to be more master's students, sometimes undergrads, really specific skill sets. And then we also have corp tech, which is more maybe what you think about your more traditional IT, maybe an MIS degree or something that is more for an undergrad. And we also have, different types of software that we hire for as well. So it is a mixed bag for sure. And to your point, whenever you're hiring early career, you're always looking for not only skill set, but you're looking for potential, you're looking for critical thinking skills. So we are looking very holistically when we're hiring.
Yeah, that's a great point, that hiring for potential, especially with early career, because what else can you do, right?
Right.
Now,
Okay.
do you hire also non-tech roles?
We do. We hire for some marketing roles. We also have some sales and some customer success, which is more like an account manager for existing clients. So we hire those as well. And in those roles, I mean, talk about the difference, right? You've got engineers on one side, and then you've got salespeople and people who are great customer-facing reps. Very, very different worlds. So we really look very specifically at them. And for our sales and customer success people, it's a lot about potential. It's a lot about attributes and coachability, willingness to learn, people who just enjoy talking to people and getting to know people, like that authentic curiosity about other people. So we're running the gamut for what we're looking for from university talent.
Right, looking for that potential. So it's kind of hard, right, when all you get is this resume where they all look alike, especially now with AI writing them all.
Right.
How do you gauge that potential when you have so little information?
It's an interesting thing because Gen Z is notoriously famous for wanting authenticity. So now they're also at the edge of the artificial intelligence, movement that's not going away. It's only going to grow. So here we are with this generation that really values authenticity in a world where we're using AI and authenticity is disappearing by the second. So I think it's good for students to hear this from someone, which is stay authentic. Do not go the way of creating your everything about yourself with AI. Yes, it's a tool. Yes, it should be used, but you want to make sure that we can see who you are. And all of that is going to become so much more important in hiring because now we have to weed through who can think of what to write on their resume and who can ask AI to write on their resume. So you can think of it as a negative or you can think of it as a superpower, but your authenticity is your superpower.
Great. And how might that authenticity show up in a resume?
I think we're all going to realize it's pretty easy to see when something is built by AI. Right now, maybe as it gets better, it will get harder. But right now, it's pretty easy to see it. It really lacks, almost like a warmth that comes from the page, almost like a passion, all those things that are so important for early career hires. Maybe for more experienced hires, it's more like, what is your experience? What is your results? But for us, we are looking to know who you are, what motivates you, what excites you, who are you? So you have to just make sure that you have those elements built in. So if you ask AI to do something, make sure you're combing through it and you're bringing yourself in. I would also suggest, and maybe I'm jumping the gun on our conversation, is that if you are relying on a resume, on a piece of paper to get you a job and that alone, you're not looking for a job.
Aha. Can you say that again? Because that sounded important.
Well, it is true. I mean, people think that job search is applying to a lot of jobs. And that is obviously part of it. And the numbers game, I've been hearing a lot from my own children who are Gen Z and graduating with, masters, like fifth year masters and undergrads, and they're applying to hundreds, if not thousands of jobs, right? But what they're missing is that you have to get yourself out of that pile of applications where you're one of many and you have to get yourself separated from it. So I can talk to you guys and directly to these students about what are the tips that I have. And warning, they're mostly old-fashioned. So be prepared.
Yeah. You know what? Why don't you just go ahead and dive into some of those tips? I know we're going to bring you back for additional episodes and we can talk about the internship next episode. So tell us a little bit about what some of your tips are.
Yeah. So my number one tip is that looking for a job is a verb. It's not like talking about wanting a job or complaining about the job market. And then I also wanted to say to everyone who's took the time to listen to this is that you probably think this is the worst time in the world to ever get a job. And I'm going to be honest with you, almost every student thinks that. When I was graduating, there was an actual recession. I did find a job. It's not like the world never shuts down. So you have to block out a lot of the noise about things are bad, things are always weird and crazy in the world, and you have to just block that noise out and really focus on believing that you have something to offer. That's the most old-fashioned thing I can tell you, which is we can tell when somebody comes to us and we meet them at a career fair or an event, and they believe they have something to offer us, as opposed to, I'm not sure, I'm thinking about this, I want that, I'd like to learn this. It's like, well, what do you have to offer? So you have to start by spending some time blocking out the noise and looking inwards. And I don't know if this will play, but I do compare it a little bit to dating. If you're going to go out dating and you don't know a thing about yourself and you meet someone who says, do you like to go rock climbing? And you go, yeah. And you want to go rock climbing, it's not going to go well at your next date. So it's the same exact thing. It's on you, the interviewer, to know who you are and know what you want and not be afraid of that. That is also a power to know what you want. And then the old-fashioned part comes into networking. I mean, I know everybody is like sick of that word and everyone just turned off the podcast. I can't hear another. If this lady tells me to network, she's wrong. I am 100% right. Who you know, how you get involved with people, who you reached out to, using your networks like LinkedIn, using who you know who has a job and who they know. I mean, your network is so much bigger than you think. And this is only a joke for the Gen Xers. You're probably not many degrees of separation from Kevin Bacon if you really want to be. For Gen Zs, ask your parents. So you have to actually show up. One of the great ways to get a job and get out of that pile of applicants is to come to a career fair. I know that sounds like the most antiquated idea, that you're going to like put on something nice and go walk around this building at your university. 100% when you meet us and you talk to us, we walk away being like, I loved Deb. Did you love Deb? Deb had great energy. So now you've gone from a faceless, nameless, maybe AI generated resume to a person that we liked. And by the way, that's really important in getting a job.
Yeah. That's an especially powerful message because we know we're living in a remote time, right? Where especially Gen Z would prefer the comfort of remote work, remote everything. And so to hear that, hey, if you want to get a job, the best way to do it is to get out there physically and meet someone in person, face to face, and you also said something that I also think is important. The energy, right? When you're in person, there's an energy that exchange that you don't get otherwise. And you get an idea, is this someone that, would be a good person to have on our team, someone that I want to work with, right?
And you have to divorce yourself of the idea that there's these overlords who are, keeping you from your roles. It's like, no, it's like, we cannot wait to meet somebody who really wants to work for us and really want to go for these experiences. And then the other thing that's key for anyone who is smart enough to listen to this podcast is that there is an absolute myth that everyone's like that. And the truth is, most people aren't go-getters. Most people don't show up. Most people don't put off good energy. Most people don't know what they want. They haven't done any of the work. And so they're sort of walking around going like, I want a job, but they're not attracting anything because they're not putting anything out there.
Yeah.
So if you do the work, the super secret is people will notice and you'll start to get interviews and you'll get the job that you want.
That is a great statement to close this episode with. This has been fabulous because listeners are really getting some practical tips that they can act on right away. And I am looking forward to having you back for another episode. Thank you very much, Meredith.
It's my pleasure. And good luck to everyone out there who's looking for a job.